interactions with our eminent board leaders from Indian corporate governance domain. As we all know, boardrooms are the place where founders, the fortunes of great companies are written. And we, through this boardroom talk series, bring to you the unheard boardroom stories where all the pillars of good governance, whether they are promoter directors, founders, independent directors, executive directors, women directors, and even investor directors, the CEOs, CXOs play a very, very critical role. Now, as all of you know, Mentor My Board is a B2B2C governance tech platform. And why I say so? Because it's a platform to network, to learn, to grow, to upskill. And it provides a complete ecosystem for the Indian boardrooms to attract the trained pool of board leaders and experts and mentor them. Now, Mentor My Board today is a brand known even to the finance minister of our country, Srimati Nirmala Sitharamanji. We hold various certification programs like Boom, Ideal, Boardroom Mastery. We believe in continuous learning, and our Board Tattva series are well appreciated by our members, which happens month on month. Log into the platform to access more than 70 blogs and other very informative content. Do join the momentum of good governance with us by joining the platform at www.mentormyboard.com. Don't forget to follow us on our LinkedIn pages, YouTube pages, Facebook pages, Insta pages, and even Twitter pages. Now, welcome to this 44th Boardroom Talk and third in this series with eminent board leader who has been driving the governance with his experience. So today we have very meaningful interactions with Rajnish Kumar ji, who is ex-SBI chairman. Now, let me briefly introduce Rajnish ji. First of all, Rajnish ji, thank you for accepting our invitation and be here
Thank you,
with us
Divya,
on
for
Sunday
inviting
morning.
me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So, and also I would like to thank Umesh ji, our member, who recommended and who connected, who helped us connecting you to us. Thank you so much. So Mr. Rajnish Kumar is the former chairman of State Bank of India. He's completed 3 years term as chairman in October 2020. He credited with steering the bank successfully through very challenging times, and during his tenure, bank developed YONO, a digital platform which established the bank as a global leader in adoption of technology and innovation. That's something really wonderful to know, sir. Mr. Kumar is a career banker with nearly 4 decades of service in SBI. His expertise in corporate credit and project finance is well recognized. And he's also served as a director on the boards of various organizations like EXIM, Export Import Bank of India, Institute of Banking Personal Selection, National Institute of Bank Management, Pune, Indian Banking Association, Khadi Village and Industries Commission, we call this as KVIC, Indian Institute of Banking and Finance, and amongst others. He is currently serving on the boards of the companies like HSBC, Asia Pacific, L&T Infotech, Brookfield Property Management. He is also a non-executive chairman of Resilient Innovations Private Limited, which is Bharat Pay, one of the fastest growing fintech companies in India. And born in January 1958, Mr. Kumar has done MSc in Physics from Meerut University and also a certified associate of Indian Institute of Bankers. Mr. Kumar is an avid traveler and visited several countries. He is passionate about sports and his favorite sports is badminton. Wonderful to know your journey, sir. Welcome to this Boardroom Talk series.
Thank you once again.
Thank you. So let's deep dive into his board leadership journey. So good morning, sir. And at this moment, I would also like to thank all our viewers who are watching it, who will be watching us over a period. And, because these sessions are recorded, these sessions are always available on our YouTube pages, on our LinkedIn pages. So we keep getting a lot of kind of inputs after this live recording also. And so let's start with, straight away deep diving into wonderful journey of yours. So first question comes to you is, share your journey from being a banker to an independent director today.
Yeah, so Banker, as you read, and thank you very much for such a detailed introduction. Uh, Banking, I started my career in 1980 till I retired as chairman of State Bank of India in October 2020. So just 1 month short of 40 years. So that was banking. And in bank, uh, my first assignment, you can say, as a nominee director was in 2007, where I was appointed as nominee director of State Bank of India on the board of Central Warehousing Corporation. So that was the first board seat. And after that, uh, several board positions later on, mostly as nominee of State Bank of India on its subsidiary, as managing director of SBI Capital Market. Then I got appointed as managing director State Bank of India in May 2015. So the SBI board, it started in 15 until my retirement. And during that period, I was nominee director on the various boards. And some were ex officio, like you mentioned, Exim Bank, that is SBI chairman is ex officio director on the board of Exim Bank. And others were sometimes government nominations, sometimes SBI nomination, like that. And then after retirement, of course, I was reached out by various companies for independent directors position. And the first one I joined was LTI, L&T Infotech, and HSBC Asia Pacific. So these were the two assignments which I took in August 2021 as an independent director. Because there's a process that if within 1 year of your retirement you take any director's position, it requires government approval. So then August 21, after that, a couple of boards you had mentioned, Hero Motors, Ambuja Cement. Uh, Now I have joined the board of L&T also.
Wow.
So there are some companies, and I am chairing the board of MDI, which is not a company, Management Development Institute Gurgaon. I am also associated as a director with one not-for-profit Lighthouse Communities Foundation. So these are a couple of assignments which I am currently handling as an independent director. So it is a like fairly long journey, you can say. So and
Absolutely.
it's even post SBI. I call it secondary. So
Absolutely, and
yeah.
wonderful to know your journey, sir. And truly, you said it's a journey, it's a long journey, and again, it's I think a learning journey. With every interaction in the boardroom, we keep learning also, and we keep sharing whatever knowledge we have accumulated with those companies and creating that impact for those companies. Wonderfully said, sir. So, how have you seen the evolution of governance in Indian corporate world over 3 decades? And I'm sure with your 4 decades of experience and very very closely working with SBI at leadership, and now with last 3-4 years working with lot of corporates, you have seen the complete evolution, how the governance landscape or governance ecosystem is changing, or it is evolving. So what are your takes on that, and how do you see it going forward?
Yeah. So what is governance is becoming more and more complex. And when I joined State Bank of India, of course, we didn't have an overview of about what is happening at the board level. But still, at junior level, we could feel that life was much simpler for everyone. But after 1990, there have been many new legislations which came in. And that was also aligned with the reform agenda of the government because the economic reforms and banking sector reforms were carried out in 1991.
Correct.
And first were the security markets reforms, and SEBI was established. Before 1990, we did not have any such regulator which was regulating the stock exchange, and SEBI came into existence in mid 90s. And since then, there have been several rules around how the listed companies need to be governed. And apart from that, the financial sector intermediaries and players like mutual funds or people issuing bonds. So this is a almost now 25 or 27-year journey as far as SEBI is concerned.
Right.
Companies that we had since
Correct.
1956, but the major amendment came in 2013.
Right.
So that was a I can say watershed year as far as the rewriting the law around corporate governance is concerned. Then in 2016 we have the IBC code.
Correct.
Plus there are a whole host of other regulators. Depending upon if you're a bank, then RBI is there. If it is an insurance company, then the insurance IRDA is there. So for any entity, I can feel or I can say that there are multiple legislations
Governance.
for corporate governance. And if State Bank of India, we have a separate legislation for us. It was SBI Act. So SBI is though not governed by Companies Act, but being a listed entity, it also has to follow the SBI Act. It also has to take care of the Companies Act, and of course, SEBI has to take care. Then RBI, and because the State Bank has insurance subsidiaries and IRDA, so your and then Competition Commission (CCI) is there. So whole host of laws have come and evolved
Absolutely
over a period of time.
correct.
But the changes which have happened, that you can say it is about after 91, major changes have happened.
Hmm.
And it is also to keep pace with the growth in the economy.
Correct. Absolutely.
The legislation is changing globally. Now we are everybody across the globe is seized with sustainability. So there will be something or other coming on sustainability, ESG governance. So this is an evolving system, and as the time changes, as the country progresses, economic development happens, then you have laws, and then you have breach of laws, and then you have more laws. So this is continuously a evolution process which
Yeah,
continues.
absolutely wonderful. And so, sir, on the entire global landscape, how do you see Indian corporate governance system? Uh, I mean, with the international perspective, if we speak.
I think like today, as far as the corporate governance structure is concerned, so India would I would consider it to be at par with any other country,
Wonderful. I think that is
and
wonderful.
we are not lacking anywhere. So it is not about the law. Let me,
Right.
law, whatever law is written, it would be at par.
Right.
But when it comes to enforcement and execution, like anything in India, so there is a lot of catching up to do. Uh, but I don't find anything which is like which I would say that we are lacking or lagging behind too much.
Right.
So
Super.
more or less comparable with international standards,
I think it's not.
and we also keep evolving international standards.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So I think it's not only about the laws forming. I mean, the government definitely has been proactive, but it's also about the mindset of the corporates, mindset of the promoters, even mindset of the independent directors. That how far they are abiding by those regulations and how effectively. So that effectiveness word is very important when we really talk at the board governance. Now, this takes me to another question. We also have some questions coming in our chat box, so I'll come to that later. But one question which is a very connected question with this is that how do you see the role of regulators in monitoring the role of independent directors today? I mean, I see a lot of independent directors start feeling that regulators have put in too much of kind of responsibility on independent directors, and commensurate to that, the probably considerations are not that handsome or not
Yeah.
that lucrative. So these positions, I mean, we have seen. I mean, I have been reading some news and articles since 2009, 2010, saying that there is exodus, exit of independent directors, and even in 2013, 14, 17, 18, I've seen those news coming in. So how? What are your takes on that, sir?
No, that is true that nowadays there is some amount of hesitation amongst people when they are accepting any independent director's position on the board. And as you rightly mentioned, that there are a lot of restrictions around the compensation structure also.
Yeah.
Because rightly or wrongly, the lawmakers believe that if you are paid well as an independent director, your position or independence is compromised. So, as I said, that whether that view is correct or not correct, but personally, I believe that if independent directors are paid right amount of compensation depending upon their skill set, depending upon their stature, depending upon their skill. So whether they would compromise their independence, it is a debatable issue. So that is something which needs to be looked into. I'm not saying that. That is an issue which keeps on coming, but the onus, which is being shifted to the independent directors, uh, I don't think that uh, uh, if there is an active or some sort of an if the independent directors are part of any misdeeds knowingly,
Hmm.
then there has to be accountability.
Correct.
But in large corporations or any company, when independent directors are not involved in day-to-day operations,
Correct.
and if something happens in the sorry, there's a
No worries.
just sometimes call comes from odd time, odd people. So independent directors, although there have been subsequent clarifications also that if knowingly you are part of any misdeed, then obviously you can't say that I should be protected as an independent
Correct.
director. But if something is happening in the company which is not in your knowledge, then to fix accountability on independent directors or agencies going after that. So obviously there would be a fear psychosis.
Right.
And then when the directors are for any board position, obviously it is becoming a difficult task for the not for the top run companies because they can always still get the desired talent. But if the company is not as well known or mid size, there is difficulty in getting the right type of talent for them.
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. In fact, I was talking to one company, and around 1,000 crore company, and they said that the promoter he aspires to get his company listed on the exchange, and he said that I don't know whether my company is ready to accept independent directors. So he said that please tell us how do we make our company ready to so that independent directors have that comfort when they come on our board. So I think these are the fears. I mean, the fears are from both sides, whether it is promoter director side or whether it is independent director side. But as you rightly said, yes, compensation, probably can play a very important role. And I don't know how the regulators really are looking at it, but would be really happy to discuss offline with you on this, and would like to get some insights from you. Now, that takes me to another question, sir. Is now, what are your thoughts on increasing governance issues in the startup ecosystem? And recently, under G20, Niti Aayog has created the startup governance framework. So, any thoughts on that from your side on the startup
Yeah.
governance?
Yeah, so the very word is startup. So when they start, obviously we can't expect that they would set up the entire governance structure which is expected of a say mid-sized corporation or a large corporation or a listed entity. So that is one thing. But when the what has happened and so many startups have come in the news recently in India, or maybe other places also, I'm not aware, but the corporate governance issue has come under focus as far as startups are concerned.
Correct.
So their name is a startup, but after they achieve a certain level of business and the size, they are in fact no more a startup.
True.
And in pursuit of growth, these corporate governance side or the governance issues, they take either backseat or because these are young people who have no experience of working in a large corporation or uh, how the corporations work. So they're not even aware. But ignorance of the law can never be an excuse.
Correct.
So professional help is needed as the company grows. So from day one, if you are four people running a company and building your business, you can't even afford professionals.
Correct.
But suppose you are now 500 people and then you don't have internal proper financial
Hmm.
controls, proper governance structures. So step by step, as the growth or you are pursuing the business, it is also important that the governance structure is also built. It can be done gradually. As I said that initially if you're a small company, one person can do multiple roles.
Correct.
Then as you grow more, then those roles will be segregated.
Correct.
So like that. So unfortunately, that did not happen, and that's why we saw trouble at many
correct,
companies. But say, for example, even if I take example of my own example of Bharat Pay.
hmm,
So when I came on the board, one thing which I said in my opening remarks on day one, that if we are aspiring for an IPO in say 2 years time,
hmm,
then let us behave like a listed entity and you start putting in a governance structure which would be expected from a
expected,
listed entity, and that is what eventually happened. It is a private limited company,
correct,
but still it has audit committee now. It has independent directors. So governance structure at Bharat Bay today is the same as that would be of a listed entity
wow,
with a lot of professionals coming in, whether it is financial control, it is HR, it is internal audit, compliance. So what I'm saying is that if there are aspirations that you would grow and you will have valuations which run to billions of dollars and then have zero governance or no governance, so it doesn't work that way. And that is where the problem is.
I think very, very rightly said, sir, that if you aspire to be at some point, whether it's listed or it's, the investments, you should start behaving that way. So if, you really feel that that's something ultimately the company is going to look up to, then promoters, I think, and most important part here, what I have also been experiencing when we speak to a lot of promoters and founders, is that they really don't really want to get into the governance. They say, we know business, we know how to do business. Baki sari cheezein, let our professionals handle, and they leave it to the outsiders. So I think that's one of the very, very big mistakes which a lot of corporates do. And that's where I think the programs like Boardroom Mastery, what we do, for especially for promoter directors, is really, really important to make them aware what are the basic governance structures which are required if you're
Absolutely.
growing. So thank you so much for highlighting these issues, sir. Now we have one question before I move to my question. We have one question coming in from Kunj, and I will show it here. Uh, just 1 minute, sir. Yeah. So scheduled banks are coming up to the capital markets and getting listed. So how much this will put the banks on the transparency trajectory, and how the roadmap, will help the banks and the board members now once they get listed. So what are your thoughts on that, sir?
No, once you get listed, then your all the LODR requirements kick in, and the banks, the listing of any banks or any entity, the obligations, compliance standards, expectations, visibility of the company. I'm using the word company, and it could be a bank, it could be governed, as I said, State Bank of India governed by SBI Act. But when you're listed entity, all those listing obligations are there. And it does ensure, and there's an expectation about the disclosures, about the manner in which your financial statements are presented, the issues around related party transactions. So there are a whole host of regulations for the listed entity, and it is expected that you come out in a transparent manner. And the quality of disclosures, I tell you, plays a very critical role in your the valuations.
Absolutely
If the investors, shareholders, the market perceives that the company is a well-governed company and its disclosures are proper, it gives you premium for that. And obviously, the as I said, the obligations and the responsibility of the directors that goes up because there are regulations
correct.
which are you have to comply with, and there are like, and if you're a bank, then you have the governing Basel III governing framework, which has certain additional requirements for disclosure. So the transparency obviously goes up, board responsibility goes up, accountability goes up.
Correct.
So it's not easy. Let me put it this way: it's not easy to be a listed entity
Absolutely
when it comes to the laws and the governance.
correct.
But companies need to be listed. Obviously, there are so many advantages in terms of getting the required capital
Correct.
for fulfilling your ambitions and growth ambitions, and visibility of the any bank corporation that goes up manifold. But yes, as compared to a private limited company, the obligations on a listed public company are humongous, I would say.
Humongous, absolutely, absolutely. And with the regulatory oversight increasing today, the way artificial intelligence is, the government is imbibing the AI and data analytics in their system. The way all the departments of the government have started coordinating amongst each other. I mean, earlier I remember the days where income tax department you file one balance sheet, ROC people used to file another balance sheets. Lot
Yeah.
of things have happened, but now with so much of data integration, I think it's going to be very very challenging task for the professionals, as well as challenging task for the directors sitting on boards of those companies, to ensure that the transparency is maintained. I think very very well said, sir. So this also takes one another question coming in from a participant, Falgun Bhai. Now, regarding the compensation of independent directors, what if the SEBI were to collect some of the amount periodically from the companies and then use this fund to pay the independent directors? So, what are your thoughts on that? If you can, that be
I won't agree with that. That is not SEBI's job, because each company is different. Somebody will be profit making, somebody will be loss making,
right,
and still, like, as far as the compensation is concerned, for large corporations, if they share 2% of their profit, that becomes a huge compensation. Nobody does
right,
that.
right, right. Absolutely,
So,
correct,
yeah.
correct,
So I think for the banks, there are some regulations from RBI also. So that I believe they need to be relooked into. And for profit-making companies, there is not as much of an issue, if because there's a provision that how much profit can be shared with
correct,
the independent actors. And one proposal, I think, which is also, I think it is under discussion or consideration, just about even granting ESOPs to the independent
right,
directors, but that has not happened yet.
correct, correct, correct.
But if independent directors have been assigned a certain responsibility in the company, and independence, I believe, it comes from the person's own value system.
Value
Money
system,
has nothing to do with it. So there is, I am very clear that more money or more compensation will compromise on the independence of any person. That I don't subscribe to this theory
correct.
at all.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
It is your character, your value system, which determines that how you act as a person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, I think, the real test of independence comes usually when the situation or the condition of a company is not right. If everything is good, nothing will come, to challenge or the question. But it comes when there are some, kind of challenges which are visible. And the role, I think, of all the directors, including independent directors, is to make sure that the board sees those challenges even before coming into the public. I think that's very very important. So thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you. So this now takes, because we want to make sure that we are very very crisp in our 30 minutes to max 35 minutes. So last two questions for your insights. One is that your thoughts on Mentor My Board. Do you think platform like Mentor My Board can help directors in being more effective, efficient, and I mean, I'm sure you might have gone through our website. So any
Yeah, no, no, that's what you're doing, and it is something where when you bring people who have some experience, and they come, they talk, they interact. So that is always a good, I would say, learning methodology or teaching methodology or experience sharing also. That is a very good system, I would say, and
thank
you
you,
are doing a good work in mentoring the boards, and particularly for the not as much for the large size corporations, but as you spoke about the startups, the new companies, the small companies, mid-sized
correct,
companies. For them, it can be a very useful forum for discussion and learning from the experience of the people. I jokingly say that who have gray hair or no hair.
absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for these valuable inputs from your side for Mentor My Board. Now, last two questions comes is one key message to all those who aspire to be independent directors, and one key message to the promoters founders and when they sit on the boards with advisory boards or independent directors?
So for independent directors, only one simple, one message is maintain your dignity and independence. And that can be done.
Right.
It's not that it cannot be done. And whenever there are issues, then as an independent director, one has to distinguish that promoters or management and the company is a different entity.
Correct.
And you are there to take decisions or at least be part of the decision making process, which is in the company's interest or minority shareholders' interest.
True.
And it's not that you have to always be on the loggerheads with the management or this thing. It's not that. But when it comes to certain issues, particularly, say, for example, related party transactions or any other matter where you believe that you need to put your foot down, you need to put your foot down. And as I said, that maintaining your dignity and independence,
Hmm.
it's important. So being polite or humble or friendly with the management does not mean that when it comes to a situation where uh, a decision from your side is required, you can't take that decision.
Correct. Wow. Very subtly, you made very important point here, sir. Thank you so much. And I think it's both ways. The role of independent directors is something which is constantly being asked, challenged by the regulators, as well as the role of promoter directors. But there are so many companies I have seen they've been growing wonderfully with a perfect combination of independent directors, promoter directors, and promoters really look at those independent directors coming in as the guide, the mentor, and that's how the evolution happens.
All the good promoters,
Promoters.
all the good promoters, and that's how they create value.
Correct.
So ultimately, many decisions would be management's decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But those companies which believe that independent directors can make contribution and seek their advice and participation in the board, definitely they are more successful than where the promoter directors. And it's ultimately upon the independent director also that whether you would like ever to work with a promoter who does not treat you as an independent and gives the desired,
Correct.
if you have independent directors, that is with a certain objective in
Objective.
mind. Forget the rules and regulations. But even otherwise, also, the very fact that you want independent people on the board, the whole idea is that somebody who can look it from a neutral position. So it is in the interest of the promoter directors
Correct.
that they get good people and then listen to them. Not only getting good people is not enough if you don't listen to them.
Correct. So, we are absolutely on time. And last question, which probably has come, is you have seen a lot of boards as nominee director for SBI. So, how has been the role of nominee directors? Because today, a lot of investors are approaching people to join as the directors to represent the investors, and it's as good as being a nominee director for banks. So, any kind of inputs or suggestions for those people who are looking out at those opportunities to be nominee directors on behalf of investors, and especially when the challenges start visible in the company. So how do you really identify, or how do you really what are your reactions when you see those challenges? So something on that side.
Yeah, no, the nominee director, because they are a nominee, so that nomination would be coming either from a majority shareholder or
The bank.
the organization which is nominating you. They would have shareholding interest in that entity, or it could be a government nomination. So the very purpose is to watch their interest. So the role of a nominee director or an independent director, to that way, like there is not much to differentiate. Let me put it this way. There is an added responsibility on the nominee director that they also are accountable to the organization which is nominated.
Right.
That at times it has happened when company has gone in trouble, question has been asked or raised about that what the nominee directors were doing
Right.
on the board.
Correct.
So that is where again I'm saying that as a nominee director, more or less the responsibility is same that would be of an independent
Correct.
director.
Absolutely. Perfect.
That's just a route that you are coming through nomination route rather than
Right.
independent director.
Perfect.
But in terms of your contribution to the board, keeping an eye on the affairs of the company, there's nothing much to distinguish.
Right.
I
The
would say.
responsibility is there. It becomes even more in case of nominee director. Perfect. Great. Thank you so much, sir, for amazing interactions, wonderful, insights from your side. I had a lot of other questions also, but because of the paucity of time, and we want to make these conversations really crisp and time bound, so that because it's Sunday morning, people have, and in spite of that, we have so many people watching us, so many people, joining and asking questions. That's wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for being here watching this live interactions. These sessions are there on our YouTube page, so do follow, subscribe, like, and share in your connection circle. Make sure that more and more people get these wonderful insights from eminent board leaders from Indian corporate governance domain. Now, just to close the session, let me share with you all that all the promoter directors, especially on 29th of July, we have Boardroom Mastery Certification Program happening in Mumbai. It's full 1 day certification program, which is deep dive learning with eminent mentors from the industry. And details are available on the Mentor My Board platform on 1st of August. Ideal Independent Directors Education and Learning Program. The first batch is starting. WOM's fifth batch is going to start in the month of mid-August. So stay tuned on the platform. And thank you, Rajnish ji, for sparing your valuable time with us on this Sunday morning and sharing your journey of being director, being independent director, being a nominee director, and at the same time being a banker. So, seeing and governance, evolution in the country, we wish you all the best for all your journey ahead, and keep guiding us, keep inspiring us. Thank you.
Thank you, Divya.
Thank,
Wonderful interacting with you.
thank you, sir. Thank you so much.